The emergency lights pulsed rhythmically in crimson waves across the medical bay of Kepler Station. Silas Everett's hands remained steady, even as the klaxons wailed through the intercom system. 6 years as a battlefield surgeon had trained him to operate through artillery bombardments. A station-wide alarm barely registered. "Vitals stabilizing," he murmured to himself, watching as the patient's neural activity normalized on the holographic display. The mining technician had suffered a severe concussion after an equipment malfunction, but would make a full recovery. Silas applied the final neural regenerator patch and stepped back, allowing the medical AI to complete the routine post-treatment protocols. A moment of quiet satisfaction washed over him. This was why he had accepted the assignment to this remote medical research outpost: to heal, to save lives, free from the politics and warfare that had consumed Earth's relations with the outer colonies. Kepler Station occupied a unique position, technically under Earth jurisdiction, but located at the very edge of disputed territory with the Vorak Empire. Its status as a medical research facility granted it a tenuous neutrality that both sides respected, if grudgingly. The calm was shattered by a security alert that blared from his wrist communicator. "Security breach in Medical Sector C. Unknown intruder, armed and dangerous. All personnel initiate lockdown procedures." Silas quickly sealed the technician's recovery pod and moved toward the security panel. Before he could engage the lockdown sequence, the pneumatic doors to the medical bay hissed open. A figure stumbled through, collapsing against the entrance frame. Female, humanoid, but definitely not human. The golden veins pulsing beneath translucent skin identified her immediately as Vorak, one of the alien species that had been in cold conflict with Earth for decades. Her hand clutched at her abdomen, where a spreading stain of golden fluid leaked between her fingers. A thermal pistol hung loosely from her other hand. Their eyes met. Hers, vertically slitted like a cat's and an unnatural amber color, widened in recognition. "You!" she hissed through clenched teeth, raising the weapon with trembling effort. Silas remained perfectly still, assessing. The wound was severe, a punctured arterial network based on the golden ichor's pulsing flow pattern, fatal within minutes, without intervention. Her aim wavered as she struggled to maintain consciousness. "You're bleeding out," he said calmly. "Lower the weapon and I can help you." "Help me?" A bitter laugh escaped her lips, followed by a wince of pain. "I came here to kill you, human." The realization clicked into place. The intelligence briefings had warned of Vorak assassins targeting key Earth personnel. As the station's chief xenobiologist specializing in cross-species medical treatments, he would be a logical target for those who opposed any cooperation between humans and Vorak. "Then you failed," Silas replied evenly. "And now you have a choice. Die here, or let me save you." Her finger tightened on the trigger. Silas didn't flinch. "The Hippocratic oath I took applies to all sentient beings. I won't let you die, even if you're my would-be assassin." The weapon clattered to the floor as she finally lost her battle with consciousness. Silas moved immediately, catching her before she hit the ground and carrying her to the treatment table. "Medical override Everett Alpha," he called out. "Delay security response, patient in critical condition." The station AI responded promptly. "Override accepted. Security teams notified of delay. Caution advised." Silas knew he was taking an enormous risk. If she regained consciousness, she might still try to kill him. If his superiors discovered he was treating an assassin rather than neutralizing the threat, he could face court-martial. But the physician in him couldn't stand by and watch any being die when he had the power to prevent it. He cut away the sleek combat suit to expose the wound. It was worse than he'd initially assessed. Some kind of explosive round had detonated inside her, shredding the golden vascular pathways that served as both circulatory and nervous system for the Vorak. Standard human medical procedures wouldn't work. Their biology was too different. Silas accessed the xenobiology database he'd been building over the past 3 years. The Vorak were intensely secretive about their physiology, but he'd managed to gather enough data from diplomatic exchanges and recovered battlefield casualties to develop theoretical treatment protocols. Time was running out. The golden bioluminescence of her veins was fading rapidly. "I need to stimulate your neural vascular regeneration." He spoke aloud, though he knew she couldn't hear him. "And I have to improvise the equipment to do it." Working with frantic precision, Silas modified a neural stimulator designed for human use, recalibrating it to match the unique bioelectric signature of Vorak physiology. It was experimental, untested, but her only chance. He placed the modified device against the base of her skull, where the primary neural cluster should be located, according to his research. When he activated it, her body convulsed violently. "No, no, no," he muttered, adjusting parameters. The second attempt yielded a different response. The golden network throughout her body pulsed weakly. Then, with increasing strength, the wound in her abdomen began to seal itself as the vascular pathways regenerated at an accelerated rate. For 3 hours, Silas worked without pause, adjusting the stimulator, monitoring her alien physiology, and keeping security at bay with status updates that stretched the truth about the nature of his patient. When he finally stepped back, exhausted, her condition had stabilized. The golden network beneath her skin pulsed with steady rhythm. Her eyes snapped open. In one fluid motion, she grabbed his wrist and twisted, bringing him down to his knees while her other hand found the fallen thermal pistol. "You should have let me die, human," she said, pressing the weapon to his temple. "Then we'd both have failed at our jobs," Silas replied calmly. "Mine is to save lives. Apparently yours is to take them." Something flickered across her alien features. Confusion, perhaps, or curiosity. "Why save the life of your enemy? Your kind never makes sense." "I don't see an enemy. I see a patient." Her head tilted slightly, studying him with those unsettling amber eyes. The moment stretched between them, the pistol still pressed against his skull. The standoff was interrupted by the medical bay doors sliding open. Both turned to see a squad of Vorak warriors in full combat gear, entering with weapons raised. "Sala, stand down! Mission aborted!" the lead warrior shouted. To Silas's shock, the assassin, Sala, shifted her position, placing herself between him and the new arrivals. Her weapon now pointed at her own people. "He saved my life. Korth," she said. "The neural vascular wound would have been fatal." The leader, Korvath, advanced a step. "The human possesses knowledge of our biology. This confirms he must be eliminated. The imperative stands." "Then you'll have to eliminate me as well," Sala replied, her voice hardening. Silas slowly rose to his feet, keeping his movements non-threatening. "Perhaps we could discuss this like rational beings. There's a patient recovering in the next room who doesn't deserve to be caught in your conflict." Korth's attention shifted to Silas. "The mission parameters have changed. We take both of you now. The Imperium will decide your fate." Sala moved with blinding speed, firing her thermal pistol at the ceiling conduits. Steam erupted in a blinding cloud as she grabbed Silas by the arm and pulled him toward the emergency exit. "The maintenance corridors," she hissed. "Now!" With no better options, Silas followed, plunging into the narrow utility passage as thermal fire erupted behind them. The station's alarm systems wailed with renewed urgency. "Why are you helping me?" Silas gasped as they ran through the dimly lit corridor. "Survival," she replied tersely. "They'll kill me too now. I've violated the imperative by protecting you." "What's this imperative they keep mentioning?" Sala paused at a junction, checking both directions before choosing the right-hand path. "The Imperium believes your xenobiological research threatens our species. Human medicine advancing to treat Vorak physiology means you could develop weapons specifically targeting our weaknesses." "That's absurd," Silas protested. "My work is about saving lives, not taking them. Intent matters little in war. Capability is everything." She stopped abruptly, pressing against the wall as footsteps echoed from a connecting passage. The hunt team will track us through the station. Korth is the best tracker the Imperium has. Silas tried to process the situation. Less than an hour ago, this woman had been determined to kill him. Now they were fleeing together from her own people. I need to get to my research lab, he said suddenly. If we're being hunted, we need advantages. Sala's vertical pupils narrowed. What advantages? Medical supplies, for one. You're still not fully healed. And my research, if I'm going to die for it, I'd at least like to preserve it. She studied him for a moment, then nodded sharply. Lead the way. But know this, human. If you attempt to alert station security, I will kill you myself. Fair enough, and my name is Silas, not human. Names create attachment, she replied flatly. Where we're going, attachment is weakness. They moved through the maintenance corridors, avoiding the main passageways where security would be searching. Silas guided them through the labyrinthine network he had memorized during his safety training. Aware of the irony that this knowledge designed to keep him safe was now being used to evade his own protection. You're unusual for a Vorak, he ventured, as they paused at another junction. Most of your kind I've encountered have been less pragmatic. Sala's expression remained unreadable. Most of my kind you've encountered were probably already dead on your operating table. True, but I've also participated in 3 diplomatic exchanges. Your people seem determined to reveal as little as possible, especially about physiology. As I said, capability is everything in war. She gestured impatiently. Which way now? Silas pointed left. 2 more turns, then we'll need to cross a main corridor to reach the research sector. As they moved, he noticed her gait faltering slightly, her golden veins fluctuating in brightness. Your wound is destabilizing, he observed. The neural regeneration is incomplete. I'll manage. You'll collapse if we don't address it soon. The temporary stimulation I provided is wearing off. She shot him a suspicious glance. You know this how? Because I've been studying Vorak physiology for 3 years. And right now, your neural vascular network is showing signs of cascading failure. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across her features. Then we should hurry. They reached the intersection with the main corridor. Silas peered around the corner and quickly pulled back. Security patrol, he whispered. 2 guards, standard stun weapons. Sala reached for her thermal pistol, but Silas caught her wrist. No killing if we can avoid it. These are my colleagues. Your sentimentality will get us both killed. My ethics keep me human. Wait for my signal. Then we run. He pulled a small device from his pocket, a medical scanner used to detect neural activity. What are you? Before she could finish, Silas had recalibrated the device and activated it. Down the corridor, the guards' communication units erupted with static, momentarily disorienting them. Now! He grabbed her hand, and they sprinted across the open space, ducking into the research sector before the guards recovered. The laboratory doors recognized his biometric signature and slid open, then sealed behind them. Inside, the familiar environment of his research sanctuary surrounded them. Holographic anatomical models, biomedical fabrication units, and the central database containing his life's work. Sala leaned heavily against a workstation. Her breathing labored. The golden network beneath her skin flickered erratically. Onto the examination table, Silas directed, already gathering equipment. You have minutes before system failure. Why? She began, struggling to maintain consciousness. Why help me? Still. Because that's who I am, he replied simply, preparing the neural stimulator. Now lie down before you collapse. To his surprise, she complied, though her hand remained near her weapon. Silas worked quickly, attaching sensors to monitor her condition and recalibrating the stimulator for a more permanent treatment. This will be uncomfortable, he warned, but it should stabilize the neural vascular pathways. When he activated the device, Sala's back arched, and a hiss escaped through clenched teeth. The golden network throughout her body flared brilliantly, then settled into a steady, strong pulse. "The pain," she gasped. "Will subside. Your system is recalibrating." Silas checked the readings. "The regeneration is taking hold properly this time. You should recover fully." As her discomfort eased, Silas studied him with those unsettling amber eyes. "You've learned much about my species." "Not enough. Most of what I know is theoretical, pieced together from limited encounters and observations." "Yet you saved my life, twice." Silas shrugged. "I'm good at improvising." "No, you're good at understanding." She sat up carefully, testing her restored strength. "This is why the Imperium fears you. One human who understands Vorak physiology today becomes a million humans who can exploit it tomorrow. Or heal it," Silas countered, beginning to download his research to a portable drive. "Knowledge itself isn't a weapon unless you choose to use it that way." "Naive," she said, but without the earlier contempt. "What are you doing now?" "Preserving my work. If we don't survive, someone should benefit from what I've learned." Sala watched him silently for a moment, then said, "The hunt team will find us soon. This room has only one exit." "Actually—" Silas moved to a seemingly solid wall and pressed a sequence on his communicator. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a narrow passage. "Emergency evacuation route. Leads directly to the escape pods." "You planned for this?" "I planned for emergencies. Being hunted by Vorak assassins wasn't specifically on the list. But the principle applies." A faint smile, the first he'd seen, curved her lips. "Perhaps you're not entirely naive." The moment of connection was broken by a powerful impact against the laboratory doors. Metal groaned under the assault. "Korth," Sala said, drawing her weapon. "He's tracked our scent." Silas hastily collected the portable drive and essential medical supplies. "We need to move." "Wait." Sala's expression changed, a calculating look entering her eyes. "We can end this." "How? By killing them? I won't be part of that." "No. By changing their minds." She gestured to his equipment. "Your neural stimulator. Could it be modified to work on Korth?" Silas frowned. "Theoretically, yes, but—" "He has a genetic defect in his neural vascular system, a degenerative condition the Imperium's physicians cannot treat. It's why he's so determined. He has little time left to serve with honor before the degeneration incapacitates him." Understanding dawned on Silas. "You want me to offer to treat him?" "I want you to demonstrate that your knowledge can save Vorak lives, not just take them." Her amber eyes held his. "Would you do it? Even for one who came to kill you?" The laboratory doors buckled under another powerful blow. "Yes," Silas decided. "I'll try, but I'll need your help." As the doors finally gave way, Sala positioned herself between the entrance and Silas. Weapon raised but not firing. Korth entered first, his massive frame filling the doorway, flanked by two other warriors. "Traitor," he growled at Sala. "The imperative is absolute." "The imperative is based on false premises," she replied steadily. "This human's knowledge isn't a weapon against our kind. It's salvation. For you, specifically." Confusion flickered across Korth's features. "What deception is this?" Silas stepped forward, hands raised to show he held no weapons. "Commander Korth, I understand you suffer from neural vascular degeneration. I believe I can help slow, or even reverse the condition." Korth's weapon shifted toward Silas. "How do you know of my affliction? This is Imperium classified information." "I told him," Sala said. "Because I've seen what he can do. The wound that should have killed me, he healed it completely, using technology he developed by studying our physiology." "Lies!" one of the other warriors hissed. "The human seeks only to save himself." "Then let him prove it," Sala challenged. "Let him demonstrate his technique on you. Korth, what do you have to lose?" The degeneration will claim you within a cycle regardless. A tense silence filled the laboratory. Corvith's weapon remained trained on Silas, but doubt had entered his eyes. Even if he could heal me, the knowledge he possesses violates the imperative. It must be destroyed. Knowledge cannot be destroyed, Silas said quietly. It can only be shared or suppressed. Suppression leads to fear, misunderstanding, conflict. Sharing leads to growth, cooperation, peace. Pretty words from a species known for its deception. Not words. Action. Silas slowly moved toward his equipment. Let me show you. One treatment. If it fails, you lose nothing. If it succeeds, perhaps you gain perspective along with health. Corvith's internal struggle was visible on his face. Finally, he lowered his weapon slightly. Prepare your treatment, human. But know that my warriors will kill you at the first sign of treachery. Silas nodded and began gathering the necessary equipment, keenly aware of the weapons still trained on him. Sala moved to assist, her actions drawing suspicious glares from the other warriors. What do you require? She asked softly. I need to calibrate the neural stimulator to his specific pattern of degeneration. Can you convince him to allow a diagnostic scan? Sala turned to Corvith. Commander, he needs to assess your neural pathways to customize the treatment. After a moment's hesitation, Corvith stepped forward. Proceed, but quickly. Station security will have bypassed the lockdown protocol soon. Silas worked with careful efficiency, scanning the commander's neural vascular system and analyzing the results. The degeneration was indeed advanced. Golden pathways dimmed and fragmented throughout his powerful frame. The condition has progressed further than I expected, Silas murmured. But I believe I can still help. He modified the neural stimulator, adjusting parameters based on the scan results and his theoretical understanding of Vorak physiology. Sala watched intently, occasionally offering insights that confirmed or refined his approach. This will require precise placement, Silas explained, holding the modified device. The primary neural cluster at the base of the skull, where the degeneration is most advanced. Corvith eyed the device suspiciously. What will it do? Essentially, it will stimulate regeneration of the damaged pathways. Your body knows how to heal itself. This just provides the activation energy and guidance pattern it needs. After a moment's consideration, Corvith nodded sharply. Proceed. Silas moved behind the commander, aware that the slightest suspicious movement would result in his immediate death. With steady hands, he placed the device against Corvith's neural cluster and activated it. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Corvith dropped to his knees, a guttural sound escaping his throat as the golden network throughout his body flared brilliantly. The other warriors raised their weapons, but Sala intercepted them. Wait, watch! The flaring subsided, replaced by a steady, strong pulse that had been absent before. The fragmented pathways visible through his translucent skin began to reconnect, regenerating before their eyes. Corvith raised his hands, staring at them in disbelief as sensation returned to extremities that had begun to lose function. How is this possible? He whispered. Understanding, Silas replied simply. Not to harm, but to heal. The commander rose slowly, testing limbs that moved with newfound strength and precision. His gaze met Silas's, confusion and wonder replacing the earlier hostility. This treatment, it's temporary. This application, yes. But I can teach your physicians the technique. Help them develop permanent solutions. Silas held out the portable drive. Everything I know about Vorak physiology is here. It could save countless lives affected by similar conditions. Corvith's expression hardened again. And give humans the knowledge to develop bioweapons, specifically targeting our weaknesses. Only if you assume the worst of us, Silas countered. Just as we could assume the worst of you, or we could choose another path. A loud explosion somewhere in the station punctuated his words. The security alert system blared with renewed urgency. Station defense protocols have been activated, one of the warriors reported. Human security forces are converging on this sector. Corvith's internal struggle was evident as he weighed decades of indoctrination against the evidence of his own recovery. Finally, he reached a decision. We leave, all of us. He fixed Silas with an intense stare. You will bring your research. The Imperium must evaluate this development. No, Silas replied firmly. I won't become a prisoner or a tool, but I will share what I know freely, if you're willing to establish a genuine exchange. You are in no position to negotiate, human. On the contrary, in moments, this lab will be surrounded by station security. You can fight your way out, perhaps successfully, perhaps not. Or we can use the evacuation route to reach the escape pods, avoiding conflict entirely. Sala stepped forward. Commander, he offers a viable path. The human authorities will show no mercy if they believe we've come to assassinate their chief xenobiologist. Corvith's eyes narrowed. And why would you help us escape, human? Because I believe in the value of my work, Silas answered truthfully. And because killing, on either side, solves nothing. Another explosion! Closer this time! Force the decision. Corvith gestured sharply to his warriors. The evacuation route, now. Silas quickly gathered essential supplies and his research data, then led the group to the hidden passage. As they entered the narrow corridor, Sala fell into step beside him. You're either the bravest human I've encountered, or the most foolish, she murmured. The line between the two is remarkably thin, he replied with a faint smile. They moved swiftly through the maintenance shafts, navigating toward the station's escape pod bay. The sounds of conflict echoed distantly through the metal walls as station security engaged with other Vorak forces. Your team is larger than just the three of you, Silas observed. A diversion unit, Corvith confirmed from behind them. They will withdraw once we're clear. The evacuation route emerged near the escape pod bay, but a final challenge awaited them. 2 security officers guarded the entrance, weapons ready. I'll handle this, Silas said before anyone could suggest a violent solution. He stepped into view, hands raised. Officers, emergency evacuation protocol Everett Gamma 6. The guards hesitated, recognizing him. Dr. Everett, what's happening? We have reports of Vorak intruders. Containment breach in xenobiology, Silas interrupted, using the station's greatest fear, contamination, as cover. These individuals were exposed. We need immediate isolation off station. The urgency in his voice and his senior status gave the guards pause just long enough for Corvith and his warriors to emerge from the passage. Before the guards could react, they found themselves disarmed and restrained, efficiently, but without injury. No killing, Silas insisted as they secured the guards. Your mercy may be our undoing, Corvith growled, but complied. They entered the escape pod bay and quickly prepared a pod for launch, designed to accommodate up to 12 passengers in an emergency. The pod felt cramped with the 5 of them and their equipment, but it would suffice. As Corvith initiated the launch sequence, Silas felt a moment of doubt. He was abandoning his post, his research facility, and potentially betraying his own people, all on the gamble that this encounter could lead to something more valuable than continued conflict. Sala seemed to sense his hesitation. Second thoughts, Silas. Weighing consequences, he replied. This decision changes everything. Sometimes everything needs to change. The escape pod disengaged from the station with a metallic clunk, then accelerated away as thrusters engaged. Through the viewport, Kepler Station receded, its gleaming structure diminishing against the vast starfield. Course set for neutral territory, Corvith announced. We'll rendezvous with an extraction vessel within 12 hours. And then, Silas asked, then we present our case to those with authority to decide the next steps. The commander's expression was unreadable. Your demonstration was compelling. But one treatment does not override generations of conflict and distrust. "It's a beginning," Silas insisted. "Every piece starts somewhere." The journey in the cramped escape pod gave Silas unexpected opportunity to continue what he had begun in the laboratory, sharing medical knowledge while learning more about Vorak physiology from direct sources. Though initially reluctant, Korth and his warriors gradually engaged in the exchange, their curiosity overcoming suspicion as Silas explained concepts that complemented rather than contradicted their own medical understanding. Sala proved particularly insightful, her assassin's knowledge of anatomy providing a unique perspective that often bridged the gap between the different approaches. "Your neural vascular system integrates functions that humans separate into circulatory and nervous systems," Silas observed as they reviewed a holographic model projected from his portable equipment. "It's elegant and efficient, but vulnerable to cascading failures, which is why our medicine focuses on isolation techniques," Sala explained, "containing damage before it spreads, while human medicine often emphasizes stimulating natural regeneration," Silas noted. Combined, the approaches could revolutionize treatment for both species. Korth, monitoring their position from the pilot station, joined the discussion. This hybridized approach, it saved Sala's life when conventional Vorak treatment would have failed? "Yes," Silas confirmed. "And it restored function to your degrading neural pathways when Vorak medicine had no solution." A thoughtful silence followed. Eventually, Korth spoke again, his tone measured. "The imperative was established to protect our species from exploitation. The possibility that it might also prevent advancement was not considered." The extraction vessel, a sleek, predatory craft designed for speed and stealth, intercepted them exactly as planned. As the escape pod was drawn into the docking bay, Silas felt a renewed surge of apprehension. He was about to become the first human to voluntarily enter a Vorak military vessel. "Stay close to me," Sala murmured as the pod's hatch prepared to open. "Some aboard will not understand what has transpired." The reception in the docking bay was tense. A dozen armed Vorak warriors formed a perimeter, weapons not quite pointed at Silas, but certainly ready to be. An officer stepped forward, radiating authority. "Commander Korth, explain the presence of this human." Korvith straightened to his full, impressive height. "This is Silas Everett, xenobiologist. He comes with us voluntarily, bringing knowledge that the Imperium must evaluate." Skepticism was evident in the officer's posture. The mission parameters were clear. The human was to be eliminated, his research destroyed. "Parameters change when facts change," Korth replied. Then did something unexpected. He removed his combat gauntlet and extended his bare arm, displaying the golden neural vascular pathways pulsing with renewed strength. "I was failing. Tarvak." The degeneration had advanced to stage 4. "Look at me now." The officer, Tarvak, stared in disbelief. "This is not possible. The condition is irreversible." "It was... until today," Korth gestured to Silas. His understanding of our physiology, combined with human medical technology, achieved what our physicians could not. Murmurs spread through the assembled warriors. Silas remained silent, recognizing that this was a crucial moment for Korvith's authority and the reception of his radical proposal. "The human comes as an honored guest," Korvith declared firmly. "Any who challenge this decision challenge me directly." No challenges came. Instead, the warriors parted to allow them passage into the vessel's interior. As they moved through the corridor, Silas noted the subtle differences in Vorak engineering, the lighting calibrated to their visual spectrum, the proportions suited to their taller frames, the persistent, low-frequency hum that likely served some communication purpose his human ears couldn't fully perceive. They were escorted to what appeared to be officers' quarters, comfortable by military standards, though designed for Vorak physiology. Tarvak addressed them at the entrance. "We are on course to the Kiral outpost. We will arrive in 20 hours. The Imperium has been notified of developments. His gaze lingered on Silas. Until then, you will remain here. For your safety, he added, though the implied threat was clear. When they were alone, Silas finally released the tension he'd been carrying, sinking onto a seating platform too tall for human comfort. 20 hours until we face judgment, he sighed. Any advice for impressing your Imperium officials? Sala sat across from him, her alien features arranged in what he was beginning to recognize as amusement. Don't show fear. Vorak respects strength and conviction. I'm not afraid, Silas realized aloud. Concerned about outcomes. Yes, but not afraid. You should be, Korth rumbled from where he stood by the viewport. The Imperium does not change course easily. They may see your knowledge as too dangerous to preserve, regardless of its potential benefits. Then we need to make the benefits impossible to ignore. Silas activated his portable system, projecting a holographic display. I want to transfer a treatment protocol for your condition to the ship's medical bay. A demonstration for their physicians before we arrive. Korth considered this. Revealing your methods before negotiations? As a gesture of good faith, knowledge freely given is harder to dismiss as a threat. After a moment, Korth nodded. I will arrange it. Over the next several hours, Silas worked with the vessel's medical officer, initially suspicious, but increasingly engaged as the human's expertise became apparent. Together, they adapted the neural regeneration technique to Vorak medical equipment, with Sala providing critical insights that bridged the technological gaps. Word spread through the ship. Warriors found reasons to pass by the medical bay, observing the unprecedented collaboration. Some remained openly hostile, but curiosity overcame prejudice for many. By the time they approached Kirill Outpost, Silas had treated 2 additional crew members suffering from less severe neurovascular conditions, and documented the procedures for broader application. He had also gained valuable new understanding of Vorak physiology that refined his own research. You've created quite the disruption, Sala observed as they prepared for arrival. She had remained consistently at his side, ostensibly as guard, but increasingly as partner in the medical exchange. The Imperium expected Korth to return with news of your elimination. Instead, he brings you and revolutionary medical protocols. Will it be enough? Silas asked. Perhaps. The Imperium values pragmatism above all. If your knowledge serves Vorak interests better than your death would. She left the thought unfinished. The outpost loomed ahead, a massive structure anchored to a mineral-rich asteroid. Unlike human space stations with their symmetrical designs, Kirill featured organic, seemingly random growth patterns that somehow conveyed both beauty and functionality. A delegation awaited them in the docking bay, officials in formal attire rather than combat gear, though the security presence remained substantial. At their center stood a female Vorak with elaborate markings on her translucent skin that signified high rank. Imperator Levana, Korvath murmured to Silas. Highest authority in this sector. Her presence indicates the seriousness with which they view this situation. Beneficial or problematic? Silas whispered back. Both. She has authority to override the imperative, but also to execute us all for violating it. With that encouraging thought, they disembarked. Korth led, followed by Silas with Sala at his side, hand resting casually near her weapon. Commander Korth, the Imperator greeted, her voice carrying harmonic undertones that human vocal cords couldn't produce. Your mission report was unexpected. Korth bowed formally. Imperator, may I present Silas Everett, xenobiologist from Earth jurisdiction. Levana's gaze, those unsettling amber eyes with vertical pupils, fixed on Silas with penetrating intensity. A human who knows too much, yet lives. Explain. For the next hour, in a chamber designed for high-level deliberations, they presented their case. Korth demonstrated his recovered neural function, and provided medical scans showing the regeneration of pathways previously thought irreparable. The ship's medical officer verified the treatment of additional crew members. Silas shared selected portions of his research, emphasizing applications for healing rather than potential weaponization. Throughout, Sala remained silent but attentive, her presence a constant reminder of the unlikely alliance that had formed. The Imperator and her advisors listened without revealing their thoughts, occasionally asking piercing questions that probed for weaknesses or deceptions. Finally, Levana raised a hand for silence. You have presented compelling evidence of medical benefit, yet the imperative exists for valid reasons. Human history is replete with examples of knowledge being weaponized against those who shared it. As is Vorak history, Silas countered, earning shocked looks from some officials. Neither of our species has a monopoly on either wisdom or folly, but both have capacity for growth. Bold words from one in your position, Levana observed. Truth requires boldness. Imperator, I came voluntarily because I believe my research serves life, not death. If you disagree, then nothing I could have done would have changed that outcome. A tense silence followed. Then, unexpectedly, Levana's expression shifted to what might have been amusement. You remind me of another human I encountered years ago, similarly stubborn in his idealism. She turned to her advisors. Leave us. I will speak with them alone. When the chamber had emptied, except for Levana, Corvus, Sala, and Silas, the Imperator's demeanor changed subtly, less formal, more direct. The imperative was established in a time of greater conflict, when trust between our species seemed impossible. She began. Recent diplomatic efforts, while fragile, suggest alternative possibilities. She activated a holographic display showing a star system unfamiliar to Silas. This is the Tereth system, uninhabited, neutral territory under the Third Accord. I propose establishing a joint medical research facility there, human and Vorak scientists working together under appropriate safeguards. Silas stared in amazement. You're suggesting cooperation rather than suppression? I am suggesting controlled collaboration in a specific domain with clear mutual benefit, Levana corrected. The imperative would be modified, not abandoned. The Council will resist, Korth warned. Let them. Results speak louder than ideology. Levana fixed Silas with that penetrating gaze again. Would your authorities accept such an arrangement? Silas considered carefully. Some would oppose it, as with your council, but many would support it, especially with demonstrable benefits. Medical advances transcend political boundaries. Then we have a starting point. Levana rose, indicating the discussion was concluding. Commander Korth will escort you to Earth diplomatic channels to present this proposal. Sala will remain with you as liaison and protection. The significance wasn't lost on Silas. The assassin sent to kill him was now assigned to protect him, a powerful symbol of the transformation underway. There's one more matter, Levana added. The neural degeneration Korth suffers. It affects thousands of our people, particularly warriors exposed to certain radiation types in space combat. Your treatment protocol could save many lives. I'll provide everything I know, Silas promised. And continue refining it through collaboration. The Imperator studied him for a moment longer. Perhaps the imperative requires reconsideration in more ways than one. Dismissed. As they left the chamber, Silas felt simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated. The course of human-Vorak relations had potentially shifted in ways he couldn't fully comprehend yet. She is taking a significant political risk, Korth murmured, as they walked toward the visitor quarters assigned to Silas. The conservative factions will view this as betrayal of foundational principles. As will many on Earth, Silas acknowledged. Change never comes without resistance. Sala, who had remained uncharacteristically quiet during the proceedings, finally spoke. The Imperator didn't mention that the neural degeneration affects her own family line. Her motivations aren't entirely diplomatic. Personal stakes often drive the greatest changes, Silas reflected. Theory remains abstract until necessity makes it concrete. Their return journey to Earth jurisdiction took 3 days aboard a Vorak diplomatic vessel, an unprecedented courtesy that underscored the seriousness of Levana's proposal. Silas spent much of that time working with Sala and Vorak medical officers, refining the neural regeneration technique and establishing protocols for the proposed joint research. Earth authorities received them with shock and suspicion that gradually transformed into cautious optimism as the medical implications became clear. Silas found himself shuttled between debriefings, medical verification sessions, and diplomatic meetings, with Sala constantly at his side. Her presence initially causing alarm, but eventually accepted as the new normal. 6 months later, the Tereth Research Station received its first joint team of human and Vorak medical researchers. Silas led the human contingent. Corvus, now fully recovered and promoted for his visionary initiative, commanded the Vorak security detail. The neural regeneration therapy had been successfully applied to over 300 Vorak patients, and adaptations for human neural disorders showed promising early results. On the observation deck overlooking the fledgling facility, Silas found Sala watching the stars, her golden neural pathways pulsing with what he now recognized as contentment. "Thinking about how differently things might have turned out?" he asked, joining her by the viewport. "Considering ironies," she replied. "I was sent to kill you because your knowledge threatened my people. Now that same knowledge saves them daily. And the assassin became the protector." A smile curved her lips, a human expression she had adopted during their months of close collaboration. Life follows unexpected paths. "Speaking of which," Silas said, "the diplomatic corps has approved my request for extended assignment here, 2 years minimum." Her vertical pupils widened slightly, surprise, and perhaps pleasure. "You're staying?" "This is where the work matters most." He hesitated, then added, "and where the company is most interesting." The moment stretched between them, filled with unspoken possibilities. Their species had biological compatibilities and incompatibilities, cultural similarities and differences. Whatever grew between them, friendship, partnership, or something without easy definition, would be as unprecedented as the collaboration they had helped create. "Unexpected paths," Sala murmured, her hand moving to rest near his on the viewport ledge. Not quite touching, but closer than protocol strictly required. Below them, human and Vorak researchers moved through the facility. Former enemies, now cautious colleagues united by the universal mission of healing. It was a beginning. Fragile, imperfect, but real. 2 unexpected paths. Silas agreed, his hand shifting just enough that their fingers brushed. Different in form, but similar in purpose. Like their species. Like their future. In the vastness of space around them, stars burned with ancient light that had traveled unimaginable distances to reach them. A reminder that even the greatest journeys begin with a single step, and the brightest connections often form from the darkest beginnings.